What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today, I know there's been a few days breaks in between, but just some things came up, pushed a couple dates back. But here we are back, finishing with the NFC South draft grades. The previous video was the AFC South, so that will be linked in the description down below, as well as my Instagram, which is the 206-2559 podcast. I'd appreciate a follow there as well as a subscribe down below. If you're new, please subscribe. If you're returning or new as well, please like, comment, share, subscribe. Anything's appreciated, everything's appreciated. And now let's get into it. NFC South draft grades. Let's see what's cracking with them. Let's start off with the Atlanta Falcons. Like the previous videos, the first team you see will be the division losers, the bottom of the division, and the last team you will be seeing is the division winners. So let's get into it. I have the Atlanta Falcons at the bottom of the division with a solid C draft. I liked a couple picks. I did not like a couple picks, but let's get into it. Gave them a solid C draft grade. Their 8th overall pick in the first round was Drake London, receiver at a USC. Really good receiver. He's my number 4 receiver, but the top 4 are very, very, very close. And in game recognized game style of rankings. But he's, in my opinion, the best jump ball receiver in this draft, and maybe the best jump ball receiver I've seen ever in college football. People say he has no ability after the catch, and he just breaks tackles like no one's business. And I think he's one of those guys that is a strider that doesn't have the great long speed, but when it comes down to situational football, when you need a 3rd and 12 converted to advance to field goal position to go to the championship game, this is a guy that's going to come down with that 3rd and 12 catch. So this is him. I gave it a D+. I definitely would have went with 3 other receivers for sure. Maybe even Kyle Hamilton, Jermaine Johnson here even. Drake London was definitely not my receiver of choice at this pick and for the scheme, but let's see what they can do with him. I gave it a D+. And I picked 38 in the second round. They take Arnold Ebiketie, edge linebacker, kind of hybrid guy out of Penn State. A really good tester, a late riser. This is around the area I had him, in the 50, 45 to 55 range, is where the perfect sweet spot is. So a little bit early for me. So gave it a solid B. Still love the pick. Still a my guy. I like him a lot. He's a good, Atlanta defense, scheme fit and talks of, just pass rush rotation and ability. And I picked 58 in the second round. They take Troy Anderson, linebacker out of Montana State. He's a my guy. I love him a lot. But, in the first 75 picks, that's a little rich for me. I do like him a lot. He's, a top 5 middle linebacker for me in this draft class. But I picked 58. I definitely would have went with a couple other guys, Chanel Harris, definitely them first. This is where I had Quay Walker going. As when we get to the AFC and NFC North to finish off our series, you'll see how I feel about and what I talk about Quay Walker when he gets taken up by the Packers. But a good solid B- draft grade, a little bit early in the second round. So I gave it that. And I picked 74 in the third round. Desmond Ridder, quarterback out of Cincinnati. This is your guy of the future. Yes, you have Marcus Mariota. Love the guy. His dip in play, his dip in, production, just did not translate. He was supposed to be the next big thing. And I think Desmond Ridder is a guy that will come in, in battle for that number 1 job. But he'll definitely be their guy next year for them. He's a guy that I think is very underwhelmingly athletic, despite running a 4.55 at the combine. He's someone that I also think has a very underrated arm and has a lot of touch and a lot of knowledge of the game. And that's why I gave it an A+ at pick 74. D'Angelo Malone, linebacker out of Western Kentucky. I gave it a solid C. He has upside as, this off-ball linebacker, but also is he this, hybrid, situational inside blitzer, outside blitzer? Can you line him up outside? Will he just transition? It's a little interesting. He's one of those tweener guys where if you take him in the 3rd, 4th round, you're going to take a stab at a what if as an athlete, as a guy that can move positions and as a guy that can, really mold to your scheme. So let's see what Atlanta in their cover 2 does here. And I pick 151 in the 5th round, Tyler Algier. Hopefully I didn't ruin your last name, but big fan of his run game style. Downhill, traditional north and south out of BYU. I give it an A+. He's going to come in and immediately battle for that number 1 job. I think he's going to immediately be a third down. A short line, third and goal situational back. But for now, he's going to battle for that pure number 1 spot. That's why I gave it an A+ grade. I had him going anywhere from the late 2nd to the early 3rd. So falling all the way to 151 is a good pick here. Justin Schaefer, guard out of Georgia. I just gave it a C-. It's a stab at a big body guard. Move him all over the interior. We'll just see what he can do for you here. And then John Fitzpatrick at pick 213 in the 6th round, tight end out of Georgia. I gave it a D+. He's not a top 20 tight end for me. And you just drafted Pitts, who's going to be your number 1, as well as, a slot guy. So that's less time for a guy like John Fitzpatrick, especially after drafting a big body jump ball red zone guy like Drake London. So it's a stab at a dark horse guy out of Georgia. You could tell they went with, just a couple familiar players with each other at the end here. I gave Atlanta a solid C. A C grade isn't bad. A C grade is just based off of how I feel, how I see them, and how I rank these prospects, and just how they fit scheme wise and need wise and play style, and like how much time they will be playing. So that's why I grade my drafts a little bit different than what you usually see. But my second team, I have the Carolina Panthers. This is my steal. This is my draft. This is my pick for the best draft in this draft class. Carolina Panthers. I gave them the S+. The S+ steal of the draft was Nakobe Dean to the Philadelphia Eagles in the 3rd round. And the draft class steal, the team with the best class in the draft, in my opinion, is the Carolina Panthers. I give them S+. They hit A on every pick available. And it was a great draft. They did what they needed to do. They drafted where they needed to draft. They drafted need. They drafted best player available. They didn't have to move much at all for the players they picked. At pick 6 in the 1st round, Ikem Ekwonu, Sticky Icky, the second best tackle, second best offensive lineman, in my opinion, in this draft class. Out of NC State, gave it an A+ pick. They didn't have to move anywhere, and they got their tackle for the next 15 years. There's not enough I can say about this guy. He's definitely tenacious, nitty, and gritty in the run game and in the trenches. But when it comes to pass game and when it comes to finesse guys, he'll definitely get a hand on you. Pick 94 in the 3rd round. They take Matt Corral, quarterback out of Ole Miss. He fell far. I thought he was going to be the 2nd quarterback taken after I saw who went first, Kenny Pickett. But he goes all the way to the 3rd round, pick 94 at Ole Miss. I wish if Seattle took him at one of their 40 picks. They could have taken him at any of their picks up until then. This pick, personally. But Matt Corral gave it an A+. He's going to battle for their number 1 with Sam Darnold. They told Sam Darnold they're going to draft a quarterback. They drafted one at 94. Yes, it's a 3rd round pick, but he is definitely a, early 2nd to maybe fringe 1st round talent. And then pick 120 in the 4th round, Brandon Smith. This is one of my guys, pure outside linebacker, rush off the edge. He can play weak. He could play strong. He could play in a 3-4. He could play in a 4-3. No matter where you play him, he's going to play. And that's why I gave it an A- pick. He's one of my guys, super athletic, super stud, just can hit you at 1,000 miles an hour. It looks like people run into a brick wall when he hits them. Gave it a solid A- draft grade. Let's move to pick 89 in the 6th round. Amari Barno, edge out of Virginia Tech, super athletic. I had him going anywhere from the 4th to the 5th. So I picked 199 in the 6th. I picked 189 in the 6th. It's just a perfect pickup. You didn't need to move anywhere. I only give it an A- is because this defense is so stacked that, pass rush, it'll be hard for Barno to get onto the field. He'll probably be a very strict 3rd down pass rush personnel or a late game personnel pass rush as guys get more tired. But it's still a great pickup. If he doesn't make the team, it is what it is. But I think he's a great athletic edge guy with a bunch of upside. You just got to get him on the field. Pick 199, Cade Mays, guard center out of Tennessee. Gave it an A+. I had him going anywhere from the late second to the third. So falling all the way to the sixth is an A++ no matter what. He's a true senior. He's a guy that's played a lot of football, a lot of downs, a lot of snaps. Injuries and tweaks have been, and little tweaks here and there have been an issue. But I think once he gets it to the NFL with NFL speed and medicals and training, and the style is very different, I think it'll be less harsh on his body, and it'll really allow him, the NFL game will really allow you to see his smarts. He's a very smart guy. Pick 242, Kalen Barnes, fastest corner in the combine, comes out of the draft here in the 7th round from Baylor to the Carolina Panthers. A+ pick. I think he could play safety. He's definitely going to be immediately an impact in the run game. In the return game. And I can see him being, a little gadget guy on offense every once in a while as well. But he's going to battle for this third corner job. He's going to fight for, maybe a safety 3 job as well. We'll see where he goes, in according to their depth chart safety corner. He's got a lot of size, and I do like him in man coverage. Let's just see if he's a little more spatially aware in zone. Gave that an A+ pick overall. Carolina Panthers had the best draft in this year's draft class with the S+. And now, gave it away. Next place. Now moving to the New Orleans Saints, we have Chris Olave, going at pick 11 out of Ohio State. I gave it a B+ grade. I probably should have went higher here, but I really thought they were going to go offensive line here. Maybe trade back and take, a corner or maybe linebacker, but Chris Olave, receiver, is one of their biggest needs. But Chris Olave at pick 11, I thought they would have traded down and got him, or they could have taken him at their 16th pick and got him. But it was a good thing they went up at 11 and did. It costed a little bit too much, in my opinion. That's one of the reasons why I dropped it from an A to a B+. They lost a lot of draft capital moving on from Chris Olave. Moving up to take Chris Olave, which is still a great pick. A B+ is like my guy, a lovely pick. But B+ because they lost so much trading up to get him. But still, he's my favorite receiver. He's my number 1 receiver in this draft class. Don't get me wrong. He's number 1 to me. My favorite guy, long speed, quickness, route running, hands. He just doesn't have that elite size that you really want as an alpha number 1. As a guy that's 6'1", 189, 188 in that range. He's a tweener. He's a really smooth, twitchy athlete. At pick 19, Trevor Penning, tackle out of Northern Iowa. This is around where I had him, 20, mid to late 20s. In the first is where I had him. At pick 19, a little early, solid B, still a great pick, still a good pickup. Let's see if he could plug and play at tackle right now with a ram check at the right tackle position. But if he has to, if he can't battle for left tackle, then he can definitely he's definitely going to kick in and play guard. I'm not the biggest fan of Andres Pete, so let's see what they do here. Alontae Taylor, he's a true defensive back out of Tennessee. I gave it an F+. This is very rich for me. I had him going anywhere from the 4th to 5th. This was a very rich pick. I didn't have him going anywhere in the top 100 picks. Very rich for me. That's why I gave it a F+. But Tennessee just produces defensive players that are tenacious, that can play multiple positions, and that are just super high IQ, high motor guys. So I couldn't hate the pick too much. It was a big reach for them when there's 15, maybe 20 total defensive backs that I would have taken over him. So F+. Don't get me wrong, he's a great player in himself. He has great free safety upside. He has great slot upside as well. That's where he'll probably play in his rookie year, slot. But let's see where he really goes. I would have chosen a bunch of guys over him. That's why personally he gets the F. I like the guy, but just not at the value they picked him. At pick 161, DeMarco Jackson out of Appalachia State. He's just a veteran guy that's, super productive, special teams guy. He'll probably stick around the league for a while as a pure role-playing backup, but gave it a D+ grade. Smart guy too as well. Very, very stout at the position. Looks like a traditional old-school linebacker at 6'1", 233. And Jordan Jackson, defensive lineman out of Air Force. He's 6'4", 294. a little bit more of a three tech tweener. So that's why I listed my defensive line. Really good movable piece. He's more of a stab. This is probably one of their guys that they took in the 6th round. So let's see what they could do with him. Gave him a D plus, but overall a C minus grade for New Orleans. Their first 2-round picks really carried. They did lose a lot in the draft, so that's why I didn't bump it up to maybe a C plus with the Olave pick overall. And now let's go with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is the division winners. I gave them a solid C minus draft as well. Just because it's a C doesn't mean it's a bad pick. A C is still a good pick. A C is still it's still a good draft. When you get to the D and the F range, that's when it gets bad. So this is still an okay draft at the C value. They take Logan Hall, 33rd overall in the 2nd round, defensive lineman guy. He's a guy that I was surprised was taken this early. They had him going, top 20 even, and then he did lose that 1st round talk. He hopped back into the late 2nd, 3rd, and then, Tampa seeing something in him, taking him at 33 as their first pick in his draft, knowing they took Joy Troy on Shoyinka last year. Not saying that these two guys are the similar players. They're very opposite players. One is a hand of the dirt, 3-tech guy that's going to play interior on pass, and there's a guy that's strictly going to play 5 and 9-tech edge with his hand in the dirt. 0 snaps in his career. Logan Hall, really good mover. Fell a little bit after high talks, but this is definitely, not a need for me. It's probably one of their next best players. You can't knock them too much. Pick 57 in the 2nd round, Luke Giodecki out of Central Michigan, a tackle. This is one of my guys. This is I had him going in the late 2nd, like the last pick in the 2nd. But a real whole 3rd round draft grade. So I dropped it from a B plus pick here to a B. Still a great pick. Still going to battle for tackle job. He's a little light in the hips. He doesn't quite have an anchor. So I don't know if you want to play him at guard and have, one of these 315 plus pound defensive tackles just in his lap every game, every other play. But, I'll take Giodecki here at 57 as a good B draft grade. Rashad White out of Arizona State, running back. I gave it a solid C minus. I think they have a good running back room. I think they drafted well the past 2 years. I think Leonard Floyd is still a great running back in my opinion. But Rashad White here at 91 in the 3rd. He's an all-around do-it-back. He can definitely catch out of the backfield. Definitely has the long speed. Definitely has great vision. Just didn't like the pickup and the value here at 91. That's why I gave it a C minus grade. But he's definitely a top 20 back for me. Pick 106 in the 4th round, Kadon. This is exactly where I had him going. Tight end out of Washington in the 4th round. Gave it a B plus grade. He can catch, he can block. Just doesn't have the great long speed, but he is a good athlete and he has great after the catch ability. Good B plus grade. Jake Carmada, punt god out of Georgia, F minus. If you're taking a punter or kicker inside the first 5 rounds, it's a D minus or lower, unless he's an absolute elite number mind-changing guy in the collegiate level. Then I'm not going to be happy taking a kicker in the 5th and below rounds. F minus. Zion McCollum, though, corner out of Sam Houston. This is an A plus. Big physical guy. Reminds me of Marcus Peters a lot. And in the 5th round, that's an A plus pick. He's going to immediately battle for your number 2 corner job. With a lot of injuries and a lot of contracts coming up. At pick 216, Keefe out of Minnesota, tight end. I gave it a D plus. I like the tight end room a lot, even though they did just lose OJ Howard, one of their most athletic tight end. Keefe is another athletic tight end they can plug and play. He'll immediately be their number 3. Let's see if he can, eventually become something, show some sparks for Tom, and let's see where this guy's going to be at the end of the year. He's a guy that can fullback, but he's fullback maybe, but he's definitely going to make an impact on special teams as well. And their final pick, Andre Anthony, edge out of LSU, missed most of the year to an injury, but he's one of those super souped up edge rushers out of LSU, one of those souped up linebackers that's 6'4", 250, runs 4.4, plays edge, plays linebacker, long arms. He can pass rush, he can run stuff, he could stack and shed. It's just he just wasn't on the field. That's why I gave it a D plus pick. Andre Anthony, who knows? He might just be there their third down pass rush specialist, and he may finish with 8-9 sacks on the year by the end of the year. He's just that guy that has that athletic upside. I just gave it a D+ because he is very so injury prone, and he didn't show up as much this year as we needed to in the previous years when he was on the field. But I still think the athletic upside is there as a 7th-round pass rusher. That's why I didn't knock him too hard, but still gave him a solid D+ grade. And that is it for my NFC South draft grades. I hope you guys enjoy it. If you guys did, please click that like button. Please subscribe. Please comment. And a share would be greatly appreciated. We are finishing up the draft grades with the NFC and AFC North draft grades coming up in the next coming days. I appreciate you guys for always tuning in. Please comment, what you like, what you didn't like, what you want to see next. If you want to be a part of something, if you have any ideas, be greatly appreciated. Like I said below, previous video is in the description down below. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. Anything and everything is greatly appreciated. Thanks for all the support. Thanks for all the feedback, and we'll catch you guys on the flip.